So we're back, and I wanted to make another little situation ramble. I don't want to know what to talk about them, but this one's just a bit of a, because the Owen tournament at the minute, and obviously it's building up to Ospreay's in the final now, and the match to decide this week is Swerve and Brody King again. And I just wanted to compare this to last year's Owen, and I think last year's Owen possibly the best Owen they did, because it was that final for both genders, but specifically for the men's. It's very much went. It could have went either way, and that's what made it so exciting. I was very giddy, frankly. I remember that, and it was so exciting. That's what made Double or Nothing last year such a big event and such a big deal, because no one knew which way it was going to go. It was genuinely so razor thin, clearly to the point where they decided it on the night. It was nuts, and I feel like they've kind of not had that feeling this year because, and I think I can explain it, is they've clearly built this around Ospreay, and it's all around Ospreay in the sense of Ospreay's going home, Ospreay's on the 10, and a lot of focus has been put on Ospreay. And I don't want to overshadow, I love Will Ospreay. I think Will Ospreay is one of the best wrestlers ever. Already I do. And I think, honestly, I would have him win it anyway. But I think he will as well, obviously. But I feel like the problem is they're clearly building up to him and Swerve as a final again, which is good, that's what I want. But it's also like, there's no stakes in it. I don't think a single person's going to go in there to the final and expect Swerve Strickland to win, which is a fucking damn shame because Swerve's brilliant. But it's like, it hurts the build. With Swerve and Hangman, God no. With Ospreay and Swerve's build, Ospreay and Hangman's build, fucking hell, 3 times wrong there. It was very much, they were both making their points. Hangman was like, I need to win this for myself to prove everyone right. Not myself wrong, essentially. And Ospreay was like, listen, I get that, but this is my moment, this is my time, you don't understand. I am on a hell of a run and no one's getting in my way. And that's what made it so compelling, because from the story perspective, Hangman was the guy, but then every other aspect, it was like, but Ospreay's fucking Will Ospreay. Like, there's no one better than Will Ospreay at that point in time. And that's what really made it interesting. So on the night, that's one of the biggest match feels they've ever had, because you didn't know who was going to win. And that's what, honestly, I think that's what really stood that out. I think that's the best of it. And the match is obviously incredible too, but everything about it, the build, everything about it. And that's just for the Owen, not just the entire story. But with this one, I feel like they failed to replicate that, because you look at Dynamite and Collision for the last few weeks. It's been Ospreay matches, Ospreay with the Death Riders, and that constant developing story. And, which is fine, I'm enjoying the story. I don't want to sound like I'm not enjoying Ospreay and the Death Riders. I really am. I think it's excellent. But the problem is, there's been a lack of focus on Swerve. A massive lack of focus. Swerve's not being on TV a lot. His Owen runs kind of being like, okay, we just want to get Swerve to the final, hurry up. And it's like, well, there's no stakes. No one's going to go into that final thinking Swerve Strickland's going to win, which I don't agree with. I think that kind of doesn't have the same type of anticipation, that type of hype. And obviously, they're yet to interact since Ospreay retained, which is obviously a big deal. I think they interacted since All In. But, like, I feel like that's definitely something they're going to try and build to, but I just don't, because there's so much focus behind Ospreay and there's so much thing about Ospreay. I feel like if you've done one, like, a good few segments like they're doing with Ospreay on Dynamite, and then doing the same with Swerve on Collision, and then switch it over, that would have made it feel a bit even. It doesn't feel even. Now it feels like Ospreay's got all this, and then Swerve's got, like, that much. Like, Ospreay's got loads, and then Swerve's got, like, a little. Like, you get a Swerve vignette with Nana, like, once every 2 episodes, and now Ospreay's getting a segment near enough every show, essentially, and that's, you didn't get one on Collision, but you get my point. Like, it's an uneven amount of, build, and it doesn't help the final, which I think the Owen final should be that feeling anyway. I think the Owen was perfected last year. I don't agree with how, I think it's definitely tried to improve this year, but also it hasn't, because it's made it, especially on the women's side, the women's made it a lot more global, which I thought was definitely the right call for both. I think they should have done that for the men as well. Again, Mystico not being in it, beyond me. And I feel like that's definitely the way to go with the Owen, but then it's not tight. Because you look at that, like, you look at the women's one, you still don't know who's going to win it. Like, especially with Mercedes now, and you're like, is Mercedes going to take it? Like, you know what I mean? There's a lot of, you've got fucking Suri in there. Like, you can't sleep on Suri. Hazuki's a big deal. And then, obviously, Athena. Like, they're the you know, and Sky Blue ain't gonna win it. Sorry, guys. Like, you know what I mean? And then, like, you look at the men one, like, you know, the storyline from Ospreay was there. You could see it. You had him versus Davis as the semi-final, clearly set up, and him versus Joe, obviously built up for the quarterfinal, you know, to kind of show that Ospreay with the Death Riders. That was clearly the play, and then obviously to Swerve in the final. Swerve faced off against Bandido to get this sort of revenge thing for the Brody stuff, and then obviously he's going against Brody, which Brody King's great, and I love the Brody King match with Swerve, but like, I just don't think frankly, I don't think they're running Brody at Forbidden Door. I'd kill them too, I think that'd be brilliant, but I don't think they are. I think they're running Swerve, obviously, and it feels like, I think you could have done a lot more. I do. I think you could have built Swerve up to be like this. Frankly, you've got Swerve. The angle for me was Swerve was in the match with Max, and Swerve and Max have never had a big feud. You could build that as the feud while having Swerve in the Owen. That would have worked, and then you still have Ospreay on his shit. So when they have that moment, Swerve goes to Ospreay, listen, like, fuck you, I need to get him. I need to get that belt off him. I do not like him. We've got a thing going on. And Max basically being like, I don't want Swerve to win, but hell no, I don't want Ospreay to win. And obviously, you know, whatever happens with Max with the belt, you know, before All In, I think he loses it. But then also, Ospreay being there, like, obviously on his own thing, like, Swerve, I get that, but this is about me. You know what I mean? Like, that's the way. It kind of inverses the Hangman stuff, because Hangman's was, this is about me. And then Ospreay was also like, I get that, but this is also about, it's weird, but that's what I would have done. And I still think the build with the feud of Ospreay and Swerve, and the match is obviously going to be excellent. Swerve and Ospreay are never going to disappoint me specifically. I love that. And obviously to run back of that Forbidden Door match from 2 years ago now, like, fucking insane. And it's like, I just feel, personally, I feel like they've missed the ball with the men's. I think the women's Owen's been great. I still do. But I think the men's one, it just needs that extra oomph, that extra shot in the arm for that tenseness. And I feel like that's what the Owen, for me, really thrives on. I think every wrestling's one, but specifically Owen. I think last year, it's very hard to replicate, but I think they had the opportunity to. And they still can make something special, but I just don't think it's been given the focus. And honestly, it's kind of a broader issue with Swerve this year anyway, but I think that's a separate video. And I'm not trying to sound negative. I just feel like it's something that needs to be said, frankly, because I love Swerve. I love Ospreay, but I love Swerve. I think Swerve's brilliant, and I don't think Swerve's getting it at the minute. I think Swerve's presentation has not helped, and I'm being inconsistently in person and stuff. I feel like this is a big fault of that, and hopefully it changes. Hopefully it does. But I feel like this is something that I just honestly was on my mind, and I really just wanted to talk about it. And I don't know if it makes sense to anyone else. Please let me know if it makes sense to you. But yeah, I just really think they've missed the mark with that. Personally, I do. Not trying to be overly critical, but I do. I think that's something that I wanted to say, and frankly, I'm saying it. So yeah, that's my thoughts on the Owens issue this year, and obviously regarding Swerve and Ospreay's build, you know, to the final. Let me know what you think of it. Let me know if you understand what I'm saying, because I feel like I'm just talking shit. But hopefully it makes sense. But yeah, hopefully it's something that everyone else can see too, not just me, because that would make me feel a lot better.